I'm George Curtis. Welcome to It's Your Law. Each week it's my privilege to bring you guests that teach all of us something about the law. Sometimes they're local officials, sometimes they're court officials, sometimes legislators, the executive branch, people who have a gripe with the law, people who are running for office, people who think that our public servants aren't doing what they should do. It's kind of a forum for you to understand better about how your public servants are working for you or aren't, and what you're going to do about it. This week, we're going to talk a little bit about the Wisconsin Supreme Court. That's the court of last resort in this state. That's the top one. That's the final decider of any issue involving the Wisconsin Constitution or Wisconsin law. We're fortunate in that we have the Supreme Court Chief Justice Shirley Abrahamson. He happens to have been in Oshkosh for a couple of days this week, and that in itself is kind of unusual. Let's find out why. Justice, welcome.
Hi, it's good to be here, Mr. Curtis.
It's a long day. I know that you've been in court in Oshkosh for 2 days. We're actually recording this after 7 o'clock at night. I'm sure you've got an 18-hour day in, and you've got to drive back to Madison and check at the office. So people think judges don't work. That's not quite right, is it?
No, not quite right. It'd be nice to have a job that you didn't have to work in, but I don't have that job.
Well, you certainly don't, and I think that many people know, but some don't, that you have been on our Wisconsin Supreme Court for what is it, about 32 years?
Right, just about.
And Pat Lucey, a governor that many of us remember, appointed you, and then you've been up for election 3 times.
That's right.
Every 10 years this comes up.
Every 10 years, right.
And you're the first female Chief Justice in the history of the state of Wisconsin.
That's right. I was the first woman justice on the court when I was appointed in 1976.
Well, and you've done a lot to bring the court to the public. Everybody has the idea that the Wisconsin Supreme Court is down in the Capitol building in Madison, which is true. But actually, you have brought information about the court to all 72 states, or 72 counties.
Right. I have done a formal visit to all 72 counties, except one. I still have to visit Green Lake County in the last 2 years because I wanted to know what was happening in the courts firsthand and listen to the people and their concerns about the court system. And it's just been a wonderful visit and a very enjoyable visit. We've got a wonderful state, and I've enjoyed visiting with the people across the state.
Well, what took place in Oshkosh the last couple of days?
Well, we are here on a program which we call Justice on Wheels. We get into our cars and we spend 2 days and sometimes 3 days in a particular county courthouse, and this time it was Winnebago County Courthouse. And we sit here and hear cases, just as we sit in the state capitol in Madison. So that's why we're here.
And it was open to the public.
Absolutely. We've been inviting the public for the last 2 or 3 weeks to come in, and we have invited the high schools and the university students to come and visit with us in the courtroom. We give each visitor a summary of the case so they can listen to the oral argument, and a lawyer talks with the group about the case.
So you're hearing an actual case.
Absolutely.
With the real lawyers fighting for the real issues, and you decide that case just like you were in Madison.
Absolutely. But we're in the Winnebago County Courthouse.
And you've done that in other courthouses in the state.
This is our 20th trip since 1993. So we've been in Green Bay and Milwaukee and Fond du Lac and St. Croix County, Eau Claire, La Crosse.
Well, the people are supposed to know that you're working for them, and I know that you are working for them. This is not a partisan thing.
That's
this
right.
is an independent judiciary,
That's
and
right.
The election that come up is a spring nonpartisan election.
That's right. And judges are supposed to be neutral, fair, impartial, and nonpartisan. That's the kind of judiciary the people of this state deserve, And that's the kind of judge I've tried to be, and that's the kind of judge we expect all across the state.
Well, that's the kind of judge you have been. And I know people on all sides of the political aisle that back you just because of integrity and impartiality. And I think bringing the court to the people kind of demonstrates that.
Well, it's very important that we have access to justice for all of our people all the time, and that we assist them in learning about the court structure.
Now, Justice, what has happened before these arguments were presented in public in Oshkosh this week? A lot of work took place before then.
Absolutely. As you know, the lawyers have submitted briefs. They're not so brief, but they are essays supporting the lawyer's position and the client's position. The court has gotten those briefs. We read those briefs. We have law clerks. Each justice has one law clerk, and the law clerk has done a lengthy memorandum doing his or her own independent research, and then we read the law clerk's memo. Then we do our own independent research. So by the time we got to Oshkosh, we've put in a lot of time on these cases, and then we have a discussion with the lawyers. Each lawyer gets a half hour to talk with the court, and that includes the court's intensive questioning of the lawyers.
And when it's all over, how is it decided what the answer is and who writes the final opinion?
Well, we go into a closed conference room, and the judges debate what the answer should be, each justice getting an opportunity to speak. And then a vote is taken, and whichever version or decision has a majority, a justice in that majority will write the decision. And the justice is chosen by poker chips. We have 7 poker chips. I don't know how they got there. And each chip has a number by the order of the seniority of the judge. So I'm the most senior judge in service on the court. I'm number 1. That's why I'm chief. And the most junior justice is number 7. And whosever number is selected, poker chips face down, that justice will write the opinion if he or she is in the majority. If not, another chip is picked.
And that opinion is the law of this state, and it's published, so everyone who wants to know can find out what the law is based on that case.
Exactly, and you can now find that not only in the books, but on the court's website, wicourts.gov.
It's a wonderful system, and there are reasons why the Wisconsin Supreme Court right now is regarded as among the best half dozen in the country.
That's true.
Let's take a break and come back and find out what kind of cases get before our Wisconsin Supreme Court and how they get there.